I think this is interesting, and I've never talked about this on my channel before. So did you know that, well, let me ask you this. How old do you have to be to run for president of the United States? 35 years old. So for me, I've been eligible for nearly 3 years now. But how long is it going to take before they ever elect a libertarian? It can be a while. So yes, you have to be 35 years old to run for president of the United States. What's interesting about that is 35, as you know, because I'm unorthodox when it comes to hair loss, I'm very aware that 35 is a very magical age for male pattern baldness, because what we see here is a very obvious pattern in which the men who are noticeably balding by age 35 are more likely to lose their hair sooner in life. Whereas if you make it with this much hair to age 35, chances are you're going to be either not losing your hair, or you're going to be losing it very slowly throughout the rest of your life, compared to the guy who was already noticeably thinning on top by the time he was 25. If it happens before, if it noticeably happens before age 35, then it's probably going to be aggressive. And if it doesn't start kicking in till around 35, if at all, if you do lose your hair, it's probably going to be very slow motion. And granted, if I'm going to predict how I'm going to be, let's see, I'm almost 38, so in 12 years at age 50, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have a bald spot back here. That's what I think. And I think this is going to definitely get thinned out, but I don't think that I'm not going to be bald, you know, and that goes back to that theory about 35. So it's interesting. So 35 is definitely a milestone for you knowing how quickly or how bald you're going to be based on that age, 35. And then also, it's interesting because that's the minimum age to be a president. Now, considering that every male in American history that's been president has been a male, so therefore we can very easily look at hairlines to look at this. Now, very rarely, and I'll admit it, very rarely has a balding man been elected. Now, we can think of Abraham Lincoln. He was like, what, Norwood 3. We can think of Gerald Ford, who was maybe more Norwood 4-ish, but he was wasn't he only elected because of, he wasn't actually elected. He like basically became, okay. So the point is, I get it that presidents tend to be Norwood 1, most of them, usually around Norwood 1. So I understand that, okay, well, I think that's part of the reason why American presidents tend to have full heads of hair, because you have to already be 35 to be elected. And by then, whoever's running for president, they're already either going to have the hair or they're not. I'm not saying that people wouldn't elect a bald president. It hasn't happened very often. Because again, even Gerald Ford was basically appointed to be president because of what happened with Nixon and all that stuff. But it is interesting too, because 35 is also a very important age for emotional intelligence. I've shared with you all before, one of the biggest turning points in my life was the moment I realized it's a break or switch decision. Whether you are offended, insulted, whether someone hurts your feelings, you always get to decide whether they do that to you. If you decide no one is able to hurt your feelings or disrespect you, then they can't. And for me, at age 35, that's when I finally realized that my life dramatically improved. I'm so much freer now because of that. So all these things that line up for age 35 when it comes to when can you run for president and why it seems that there aren't many bald presidents, emotional intelligence, so many things happen at 35. It's a very important age for men. Emotional intelligence, running for president, are you going bald or not? I think that's interesting. 35 is a very big year. What do you got to say right here?